And you tune in to the chat right here on City TV. My name is Aja Kwakosapon. Thank you for keeping your dial right here. And of course, inviting you on the 26th and the 27th of March for the most magical 2 days, giving you all the nostalgia you need. So basically, on the 26th and the 27th at the forecourt of the AMA at exactly 10 a.m., we will be getting a taste of Ghana, tasting the cultural diversity, the uniqueness, and the indigenous meals that make us all very incredible. So from the north to the south, to the middle belt, to the southern sector, to every part of the country, it will be representing a meal. So all the favorite meals that you know and you love, some you haven't tasted in years, will all be featured at the Back to Your Village Food Bazaar. So we're taking you back to your village for 2 days on the 26th and the 27th at the forecourt of the AMA. Inviting you to be a part of it, and seeing you there will truly be the highlight of my week. Now, getting into the conversation now, and joining me in the studio, or still with me in the studio, is Emmanuel Sapon, the host of 30 Minutes and of course City's Countdown. 7 Xavier, President for Alliance for Change, and Kofi Boache Ansah. He is a record producer, an audio engineer, creative director, amongst many others, right here on the show. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now, we're going to continue the conversation we had from last week, but allow me to call on the man with the finest cocktails in the land, Bruce Services, who has something very special for us, looking very colorful. Of course, you can find Bruce Services on social media. Go reach out to them for an amazing cocktail just like this that you can enjoy at home, or at work, at a party, or whatever that it is. So thank you so much, Bruce. Of course, it is Bruce Services on social media. Now, last week we were talking about record labels, sort of getting I think a priceless education, honestly, about how record labels work, what they are, the differences between the two, masters, and signing away your destiny in hidden clauses that you didn't even know could happen. But gentlemen, let's get back into this particular conversation. How record labels are faring in Ghana in general. We have quite a few record labels that are notable, from the Links to a few others. But is it lucrative enough for there to be enough record labels that can discover the artists, that can push the music, and that can ensure that our Ghanaian music keep getting to the heights that we all hope that it will be? Are Ghanaian record labels faring well, in your opinion? I'll start with that, 7.
I'll say no, and the reason is there's two categories. There's people with money who think they can run labels, who don't know anything else about the business, and then there's people with the knowledge who want to run labels but don't have the money to propel anything. I mean, those two can come together, but of course we all know how everybody wants to be the one or the president, the boss, so it doesn't happen. But most of the record labels that we have actually are people who have some money, and the funny thing is most of them don't even call themselves record labels. Like Blusher's case with the management thing, that's pretty much a record label deal, really, or something close to it. It is not a management deal, because management is not going to give you housing. It's not going to be taking care of your recordings and all these things. They're not going to do that. That's more like a production label-ish type. That's no man, because management, you pay your management. That's how a management deal works. I manage you, okay. I make sure you get deals or you work, and then you pay me a percentage of it. That's I'm not supposed to be putting money in for your house, for your recordings, for your promo, for your marketing.
But in a situation like Black Sheriffs, should a record label be as invested in the data? So the investor initially was called a manager, and in such, should an investor be very removed from the day-to-day life of the artist, beyond just pumping money into it? Or is it something that falls into the purview of an investor like that?
I think an investor should just really give the money to the labels to work, because they don't really know much about the business of what's supposed to happen. Most of the time, I've encountered investors who want to control things.
Shouldn't they?
not really. I mean, just sign something I want 20%, 50% back, and then fall back.
Okay.
Especially if you don't know the business of what's supposed to happen. Because I have seen them, some of them, trying to choose songs, trying to even put models of their choice in music videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a bit
Exactly.
specific.
Exactly. So I think they should just, lay off and let the labels actually work. And I hope that an investor will sign something with a label, knowing that the label will actually work. Because some people are also skeptical about, oh, they'll take my money, and that will be it. Of course, this is a cry. Everybody's trying to become
Yes.
the next person. So there's that thing too. But overall, the labels are not doing too well. And our new threat is the distribution companies that are coming in, which is the Empires, 1RPMs, Orchard, and all these other companies coming in, because now the artists are skipping the labels and going straight to distribution, and they're giving them distribution deals which have some elements of labels in them. But what hurts the artists in that regard is there's no artist development. Like, nobody even really pays attention to your work, really, as long as it has, or it gains some traction online. They will take it. They don't, because a record label is really supposed to make you a star, an artist. Like, appearance looking good, everything is looking good, taking care of everything. But the distributors are not. They're looking at, like, they actually contact you because they've seen this song is making some moves, and then they'll come in, hey, we will put the basic thing that they do is, hey, we'll give you $5,000 advance, $5,000 for marketing and promo. And basically, we'll sign you for X amount of years, 10, 15, 30, 35, 30 years. And we would split the money 50-50 or 60-40 over that time. That's basically the deals they give out.
The revenue.
Now, in terms of how long, or we've seen like 15 years in Black Cherry's case, or 10 years or 20 years, does it make sense for it to be such a long amount of time as against an amount of time that allows you to have some leeway to be able to exit as and when?
You wanna
Come to you, Kofi.
Well, I guess it depends on the circumstance and the nature of the contract that's being signed, the artist in question, and the deliverables that are expected as part of the deal. Last week I did say in business you hardly ever get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate or settle for. Now, to add to what Seven said earlier, a lot of these companies are more or less like production companies, which is an element under a record label structure, be it independent or a major. Now, because they do not have the requisite persons or personnel with the right know-how, the training, and the various departments that are specifically tasked to carry out certain duties, I would consider them more as production companies, not necessarily labels. So they do offer some label services, but I do not think many of them are qualified to be called labels. That being said, a lot of the contracts he did mention are more or less production contracts. Now, in our space, because of the huge knowledge gap, it is nearly standard practice for an artist to want a manager and have certain expectations. It's that idea or that practice is just steeped in ignorance, because a lot of these people, or a lot of people in the music space, haven't taken the time to educate themselves properly about the right way things ought to be done. And he mentioned something. A manager is an employee of the artist. The manager, under a lot of agreements, I mean, there are some managers who will demand you pay them monthly.
Yeah.
But typically, a standard management contract is structured in such a way that they are paid based on a commission.
Yeah.
So if the artist doesn't make money, or they don't get
make
paid,
money.
you don't get paid. But in Ghana, someone say, "Oh, manage me," and they are giving you what do you call
blanche,
it, bills.
basically.
Exactly. So In Black Sherif's case, for instance, I hate to have to use him as, that management contract that they were taking around, and they gave him a car. Really and truly, the investor was acting as a production company, i.e. the label, quote unquote. Okay, so that's the executive producer. That's the money person who ensures that things happen. You understand? Now, you did ask a question that what was it again? You said something about
Are record labels relevant?
no, the last question you asked. Well, they are relevant because you need some machinery that would typically operate as part of a label, be it independent or a major, to reach a certain level. You need that push. You need the distribution channels. You need a marketing PR department. And he mentioned something really important, artist development. Now, many labels actually started in the mid to late 2000s. A lot of labels no longer want to sign an artist and give them the requisite guidance to develop their skill to be able to become what they are meant or supposed to be. So if you are somebody under a production deal, or you work with a production company, you work with a manager, or you work with a label, the best investment you can do for yourself is to spend time and become the best songwriter. That's if you are a singer-songwriter. Become the best performer you can potentially be. You need to find somebody who knows about fashion, costuming, makeup. You need a strong brand identity that is an extension of the sort of music you make. In Ghana, you'd hear loose statements sometimes being made about certain artists. The artist has a good brand, the brand near a solid par. That means the person wears a black shirt every time. They have a mohawk, a dyed hair. They have a way they walk. There's a bounce after every 5 steps. It's flimsy. Okay, so the number one product is the music, and then you have all these ancillary products that you can derive from the music. So your look, your style, your branding should be an extension of your sound. You understand? So these are things we need to normalize. These are the conversations we need to have. And most importantly, people need to take time to learn the business. He did mention something about a couple of years ago.
Yes.
There was a gentleman who, for whatever reason, made lots of money, had a studio, called a friend, to set up the studio. And, he had a son, he bought cars for the artist, he signed on a label. And they'll shoot music videos, and he wants to be in the video.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Well, he's a money man.
Yeah, and he puts his daughter's photos in the video. It's corny.
He's a money man.
Yeah, so we need to start having. You see, there's cause and effect. This sort of behavior has actually affected the music space more than we would like to imagine. I'll give you a typical example. Many people think because of the lack of structures in our space, the best way to hide their ill-gotten wealth is through music. Because really and truly, you have just limited ways of auditing, to follow the money. You understand? But because of that, we've never really had a very holistic reason to truly create a proper, sustainable industry. Excuse me. A proper sustaining industry for music. It's a cause and effect, because people on the sidelines who are looking from it, from outside, think it's all gravy, because all these artists look good, they drive fancy cars, and really it's polish on dirt. That's the truth. That's why you always see an artist who is sick, he needs a kidney transplant, he needs to go for dialysis, and they always start a GoFundMe. You're not asking the right questions. Okay? And I have a problem because, if there's an industry or a supposed industry that has so many challenges, that is nearly impossible for you to validate an amount of cash injection, and you keep finding people, pumping. I mean, the former musical president, Obo, I mean, when he was in office, he would take every opportunity he had to appeal to investors to come and invest in the music sector. I felt that was frankly very stupid. In my opinion, I think it's idiocy, because listen, if you have an investor who has a history of making money consistently in business, they will do their due diligence to find out the lucrative areas to pump their money. So when you see, the red flag is when you find people who pump abnormal amounts of money in a space that you are guaranteed very likely not to make the money back, you need to start asking the right questions.
That's true.
It doesn't make sense to me to try and fetch water with a basket.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
Yeah,
It makes
it
sense.
does.
So artists and musicians need to learn their craft. You need to understand that this is a global playing field right now. There's a reason why foreigners take our music, they finesse it better, and it goes farther than we do.
Yeah.
All we do is in Ghana, it's nearly impossible for you to even speak well about an artist without stepping on another.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
me pay way, announce, oh, way there. You understand? It's fine to praise an artist without having to blackball another person. But that's how we pit ourselves against each other. So we can't even grow. And then when we have opportunities to actually learn, we take it for granted. We crack jokes. I was online a couple of days ago. There was a guy who was breaking down the importance of promoting your music, and I'll give you a very interesting fact. Pre-COVID, in 2019, the most popular Ghanaian song in Benin, from the Aflao border in Ghana, you go to Togo. From Togo, you go to Benin. From
Right.
Benin, you go to Nigeria.
Right.
The most popular song from a Ghanaian artist in neighboring Benin in 2019, just before COVID hit, was VIP's Ahunkawo.
What?
Yes, you're surprised.
VIP.
Really?
Yes. Now, VIP got signed to Kenny's Music.
Yes.
Kenny's Music was the
K1
label.
and D1.
Yeah, they
KK and D1.
yes, they introduced Tubaba,
Yes.
Two-Face,
Yeah.
Dibia at the time he was known as, right?
Yeah.
So they signed VIP, and they saw the need to promote that record heavily across West Africa,
Yes.
right? Because they understood what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So after that, this must have been in 2002, I believe. So how many years? 17 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's madness.
17
And you're
years.
thinking of global domination. Are you kidding me? In 2011 or 2012, I was working on a project. It was non-music related. And I went up north. I went to Savelugu, I went to Tamale, I went to Bolga. And I tried as much as possible to immerse myself in like the nightlife there. And I was shocked to find such a vibrant and beautiful musical scene that was totally unheard of in the South.
Wow.
Take Kumericans, for instance.
Yeah.
I schooled in Kumasi. I went to Tech, and I went to Prempeh College as well, right? They've always had a very vibrant musical scene, hip life, and hip hop scene. We are now hearing about it because of Kumericans. In fact, when the Kumericans started, they were being trolled on social media.
Yes.
Yep.
It was funny. It was like
Exactly.
Yeah.
They were trending for the wrong
Yeah.
reasons. And it took Virgil to actually co-sign the guys to say, yo, you guys are doing brilliant. I love this music. And
For
all
it
of
to
a sudden,
start,
we
yeah.
thought it was cool. So we can't even make waves. Like a lot of the music produced in, really and truly, listen, our music space is so segregated that Fancy Gadam was selling out stadia. He came to Accra to sell out the conference center, no, I think it was National Theatre and the Bukom Boxing Arena.
Yeah.
Before we realized, so I mean, we need to stop, we need to start addressing things just the way they are.
Okay.
And stop comparing oranges and apples. We need to start asking the right questions, and we shouldn't settle for what I call vibes and inshallah.
True.
You understand what I mean?
I agree. We've seen a rise of a lot of artists creating their own record labels, having their own sort of backing. Beam has Beam Nation, Shatawale has SM for Life, Sarkodie has Success Music. Like they all create their own labels, Black Avenue Music, and then at some point in time try to take on other artists. But very few of them manage to succeed in grooming enough artists to be successes on their labels. We've seen that from Black Avenue Music, to some extent maybe Success Music. What do you think has accounted for artists wanting to create their own labels, become their own bosses? Is that a step in the right direction? Are they on the right path? And also, is it easy for an artist to succeed, or an artist to succeed as the head of a record label when and take on others, especially when he himself or she herself have not been able to master the music industry in itself?
Let me quickly say this so that you can take the rest of the time, because I'm sure when it starts, I'm just going to listen. So I just want to just put up this question. I have thought about it myself. I've heard a few people speak on it, especially when the success thing happened between Strongman, Sarkodie, and Akwabwa. And one thing that keeps running through is the conflict of interest. Because if you're an artist actively in the business and you are doubling up as a CEO of your label, which is also managing another artist, you may want the best for the artist you've signed, but the truth is you also want some of the money.
Yeah.
So how do you, and that's what I wanted to say, so that 7Dems can address it.
How do you
reconcile those things? Because I think that is what they struggled with. When do I put my campaign on hold to actively push my numbers to support this other artist on my label? So I have seen the likes of Didi, who had to literally go off the grid and just focus on the management or the music management.
Yeah.
But here we haven't seen that yet. I think D Black even took some time off to run Black Avenue Music. He's back again doing music. It's either he wants some of the money, or he feels like, I'm the face of Black Avenue Music and I still need to do it. So I would want to also just piggyback on what AJ is asking. How do they run both? Or do you think they should just step aside, hang their microphones, and then give the support to the ones that they put on the label?
I would say the whole thing is about the team. Like, not even like the label per se, but I'll put it as a team. Like, they can really hire good people to run it, and then they will just step aside and let them, run whatever they need to run. But when you have a say in what goes on a daily basis with the label, and you also trying to basically put the music out and promote it, that's not feasible. And imagine whatever money comes in, you're splitting it with you yourself as an artist. The other artists, then you for your personal gains, your revenue and everything. So I think the reason why most of them will do that is they get to a point where they have a lot of connections, where they think, we can bring these people through, which is fine. I mean, which is 100% okay. Really, I think you could probably sign something where, wherever revenue you make, I might get something off it by, taking you through some of these doors. But signing you as an artist and you expecting certain things from me as an artist too, it's a difficult position to be in.
Is it not the right step, or is it not the best step in the right direction, Kofi, for artists to be creating their own labels and taking others on?
I mean, the thing is, before you go in, the thing is, for you to create a business, you need to know their business. They don't.
But they're practitioners.
I'm enjoying the drink.
No, but they don't. So, like I said, if you can get people to run it properly, they can definitely set up, other entities in the industry to run, whatever it is. I know D Block, when he started, he had like Livewire, like an events company. He had these other ones. Great ideas, great ideas. I really thought it was a lot for him to run because, but the thing is, we're all in the same space. So he can definitely move money from here to here. Like, if my artist wants a show, Livewire will do it because, it makes sense to have those dots connect. It makes sense, but then you need to really know how to run it. And at the end of everything, money is needed. Do you have money budget for 3-4 artists on your label apart from yourself? That's the whole, the whole thing now is money. And that's the same reason why these 1 RPMs and Empire and Co come and dangle money. Who wants this? And somebody will bite. Somebody will bite and they take the money. And if you see some of the things they're signing, like I said last week, like Black Cherry's own is like one of the best, if not the best. So imagine what these other kids are signing.
Yeah.
That's imagine true. Really, AJ, you don't need that much money to sign somebody now. Knowing what they're signing, trust me, you don't need that much, which is sad. She's very, very sad.
I'm shocked.
Can I take this?
Please go ahead.
In your earlier submission, when you were asking the question, you said some successful artists take on. What's your definition of success?
Have managed to stay relevant over a long period of time.
That's relative. People can trend for the wrong reasons to stay relevant. That doesn't necessarily make them successful.
Well, I guess they have hit songs, right? Over the years.
They've had a lot of hits.
Right.
They are able to sell out their own personal concerts.
Okay.
They have
some form of influence.
Largely are able to command respect in Ghana and across the world. Have sustained their music collection over the period of time, and are generally considered by the masses as celebrities personified.
That's a slippery slope, because I can go naked on IG and I can become a celebrity, right?
That's
now,
true.
There's an element to it. It's known as social capital. Now, with social capital, especially since we are dealing with show business, people create this entity as part of the show to create or add value to their social capital. He can walk to a bank and very likely get a loan you and I may find
have access to.
Yes. Okay.
Not just a bank, but like a big money.
Anyway, yes.
Very likely a big man, more likely a big man than a bank.
Yes.
Yeah, more likely the bank now.
And I'll come to that, because a lot of these entities are not legally registered. Many of them don't pay tax. Can it be done? Yes and no. Jay-Z did it. LaFace Records did it. Babyface, Antonio L.A. Reid. They were artists, and they produced some of the most phenomenal Boyz II Men. TLC can be done. The key word here is business. Like any business entity, you need to have structures. You need to have a system. And like you said, you need funding. You mentioned Maven earlier on.
Yeah.
Maven has a partnership deal with Kupenda Capital worth millions of dollars. Those guys are not playing.
Wow.
Now, Lynx is the closest thing we have to a record label now, right?
It is not Don Jazz, it's a venture capitalist money.
Wow.
Yes, if you take Kiddy, if you take Kwame Eugene, they don't. Do they have the same distributor?
No, one of them is on Virgin.
It is on Empire.
Yes.
Virgin.
That's not a label. It's a production company. Because technically, each artist is a different product.
I'm not sure if it's Universal, but I think Virgin and Universal.
Am I making sense?
Yes.
Right.
You understand? So I'm the factory. I'm supposed to be making close-up, but I create Pepsodent for you, and close-up as another option. They have their own different distribution channels. I'm not like a singular entity that has one distribution channel that caters to my entire roster of artists. That's more
Of a record label.
exactly.
Okay.
So this alone validates my earlier claim. This is just one of many things that we'd look at. Now, with
Is it smart for artists to be creating their own record labels?
To make revenue, yes, it is.
Okay.
To get revenue, because the thing is, of course, like really now, an artist has about 5 years max span. Where you can actually, exactly. Like so, when you get in there, you need to like see how best you can bring other people in to basically continue. What's going on. So, in the sense of making money, yeah, it is a good business. It is definitely a good business.
In theory.
But in theory, yes. But you need to be making hits, because that's the only way you stay relevant. That's the only way anybody wants to even talk to you. If you can't make those hits anymore, you are done. I remember I loved Chinese so much, but he's done. He could have maybe tried to form a label, bring a bunch of gun rappers in there. And I actually know at a point at a time, he had a bunch of like the gun rappers like behind him. Chigmatic was one of those rappers who was basically following him everywhere.
Wow.
You know, and Chigmatic's first single,
Nobody Knows Tomorrow.
Nobody Knows Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was because of Tiny.
Wow.
Apparently, I'm not sure if he's listening. It was supposed to be a diss because he had followed Tiny for 2 to 3 years, and yeah, like
Wow.
nothing did happen, and it was a bunch of them. Everybody dropped off. And it was just him.
Wow.
And yeah, and Charlie.
Now the video makes sense.
Now the video makes sense. So that was what it was supposed to be. And
Now
the funny
video
thing
makes
is,
sense.
it was not even supposed to be out. There was it's a Nigerian producer in Labadi called Bones. I don't know if you ever meet him. Bones.
That was in Osu. Osu or
Bones.
something.
No, it's Labadi. It was also going down there somewhere. You know, I remember I was there once. If you're recording, some old man sleeping next door, so you can't shout. But anyway, that was back in the day. But anyway, that's back in the day. So he went to see Bones. They did the track, and then they left it. Somebody came and stole Bones' stuff. And then whoever did it leaked the song.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that song was
love
not
this
even supposed to
content.
come out. It was not supposed to come out. It was just a diss. You know. Anyway, so that's basically,
I love this content. I love
that's basically artists who could have done some of these things, and I wouldn't even fault them for not doing it because most of them who've actually done it, it really didn't pan out too good. But there's a few of them who have success stories like Samini and Kinata. Like there's always, you know, even I'll say Stoneboy and Kelvin Boy.
Yes.
You know, some of them have like really, you know, some good Sak and Akwaba, you know. I mean,
I think
talent-wise,
even for
you know,
Richie.
talent-wise, most of them did good in finding good talent. The only problem is now marketing and promo
Yes.
of that particular talent or the set talent was the problem. But
Is it that an artist can't, or it's harder for you to split it across various other extras? So, say Black Avenue Music, he had about 6 people or 5
Yeah.
people at some point.
Joey,
No, quite a lot of them.
hold on.
quite a lot, yeah.
Kewa
Yes.
had quite a lot of people in his
Drew,
roster,
Creamy,
and they all sort of dropped off at some point. A few disgruntled, and Stoneboy
Kelvin Boy,
let
Ovi.
Ovi go. Kelvin Boy apparently leaves the nation. Like there seems to be always something that goes on, especially in these camps that break apart, and before we know it, what we thought was going to be a very fairy tale, happy ever after never materializes. What could be going on that prevents artists from properly discovering and creating these superstars that they clearly discover?
Money.
I mean,
Yeah, money.
So how would you describe, or how would you
So why do it?
how would you rate the Richie case study? Because I think this conversation works perfectly with Richie. Richie was an
But
artist.
then Richie took himself out of the game.
Exactly, and
to
we've
focus
seen that
on-
has worked.
But everyone else doesn't take themselves out of the game.
That's-
No, see,
why
so
you want
see,
to-
wait. Now you have to understand there was a Links 1 and a Links 2.
Okay,
That's true.
They had something happen.
Well, that's true.
Something happened during Links 1
That's
that
Asem-
is different now from Links 2.
That was Asem. Asem
I can't get into it, the technicalities of it, but something happened, and you know how it died off. And there's the Links 2. They are running 2 very different models, but I don't want to go into it. Just gonna talk to Rich himself if he wants to
Right.
talk to. But there's 2 different models, and that's why one failed, like the Romans
one
did, and then
doesn't
one
work,
is
yeah.
looking like it's actually working out. But it's a similar template. The first one also, they were signed to like, is it Rockstar, Sony? Yes,
Rockstar 4000.
Rockstar 4000 was a division of Sony. You know, so they also had these international type of deals back then with links, and the same thing's happening now with the new links. You know, but there was one particular thing that's different from then, and there's a whole different thing that's running now. You
Him
know,
not being a consistent artist.
Let
even though he Richie,
Yes.
he doesn't need to be because like he has to work more now.
Okay.
Yeah, he has to work more now. There's a reason for it.
So is that a part of the winning formula? Taking yourself out of the game and focusing on others?
No, I can't talk about what the winning formula in this particular instance is.
let
But
me
I'll
say
tell you,
this.
no, that is not the reason.
I'll
why.
make it
Okay.
easy for him, and this has nothing to do with Links or Richie. Every seemingly successful artist in Ghana has somebody who's bankrolling that particular artist,
Okay.
and somebody is taking the front for it.
Okay.
That is the formula.
Okay. So once you don't have enough money extending to your artists,
everything is funded.
And if you have to make reports about what you're using that money to do, best believe you need to get your ducks in a row. You understand what I'm saying? Now, there's a different side to this. There's a human element. We are dealing with human beings. People come with their baggages or whatever trauma or whatever challenges, or you need to manage egos also. Because ego, if channeled properly, can actually sell an artist.
Yeah.
You just like some artist because the person is cocky.
Yeah.
But once that thing gets in the way of that person's development, then you have a problem on your hands. That's just an accident waiting to happen. Now, it is fact that a lot of our artists, even some of our seemingly successful artists, do not know and understand the business. And they only compound whatever challenges or problems that they face or stand to face when they take on other people. So 9 out of 10 times, the odds are already stacked against you to begin with.
Because you don't even know it.
Yes, your level so it's not even an issue about stepping down and focusing on the artist. Why would carry on even before you added other artists to it? But because listen, Ghanaian artists Ghanaian artists are amazing people. They're the only people who can travel outside of Ghana, perform to predominantly Ghanaians, come back and tell you they've gone on an international tour.
Wow.
It's something I find very intriguing. You understand?
It's international, different countries, international.
Yeah, different countries, they speak Cree. 12 Nigerians, they share the flat with Ghanaians. They hear like a particular artist over and over again.
And
they really love the music because those artists are actually phenomenal, right? 5 Chinese people, because they were drunk the night over, hungover, they didn't know how the hell they got the tickets and ended up in a venue. It happens all the time. We see it, we don't talk. But listen, that's why I say we need to start calling spades spades, because we keep hearing this conversation of how can our music go international? How can our music go international? And there's the financial element of it, right? You have people who are making amazing numbers locally, but they're not getting the money back because the TV stations are supposed to be paying royalties. Gamro is supposed to be paying. When you hear any artist complaining about the royalty system, I give you maximum 2 weeks. The next thing, I went to have a dialogue with Gamro, everything is sorted, they move forward. It's been like that for 15 years. Kosga before Gamro, we are going around in circles.
Because everyone gets sorted.
Everybody gets sorted.
Hence, Alliance for Change.
Exactly.
No, but I mean, we'll come to that. I mean, because I think there's a bigger problem. Because for whatever reason, certain persons put themselves in positions of power and they are like the hawk looking at the chicks or the hen. And those people are always the artists. And for whatever reason, the artists never seem to learn the lesson.
They don't. They don't.
Look at the ban on alcoholic beverages with the FDA.
Yes.
The FDA said the WHO something was a mandate. We checked it. It didn't exist.
It didn't exist.
Right? So they are saying you're using your star power to influence people. I know there's a moral element about it.
Literally.
But constitutionally, I mean, what's morality? Here's the funny thing, right? Kids today are all over Instagram, right? You have somebody who you barely know, who for whatever reason is miming to the right songs or showing a bit of, side boob or whatever. It's fine. I mean, there's a place for that. But they get their numbers. They are now endorsing
all kinds of products.
Yeah.
All kinds.
So
of
does that argument hold?
No.
But you don't see these sort of measures imposed on other practitioners.
But you hold it
because they know musicians can't fight back.
Yeah.
And these are all revenues that a label, if it has to work, can look out for. They have to make money from that angle. And also, let's say we were talking about royalties earlier. Most of these labels keep your masters because they need to make money off royalties off that. And they are heavy in the royalty game. Like, I think I said it here before, Diddy actually offering Mace $20,000 to buy his masters when they had his first album. And now the $20,000 is worth $20 million. Wow. Yes, now a label can do that sort of business because the environment allows it and it actually works. If I buy any Ghanaian artist masters, nothing will happen. Like, it's useless, really.
It's awesome. Right.
Because I'm not going to get royalties of it. I'm not going to get anything of it. There's none.
So we need to understand.
See, so that's how these things, labels won't work, or it makes no sense if we put money into it, because these things, like the simple royalties, like the number one thing, like, you know, a top artist in Ghana, if they're controlling about 45% of the airwave, that is basically the fact. Like, the top artist in Ghana controls about 45% of the airwaves in a year. If we are collecting, let's say, 10 million CDs in revenue for royalties, that means he's probably making 45% of the 10 million. So that's 400 to 500K. As a label, I'll easily put in 200,000, knowing that if I push even payola, because all the labels in America pay payola. Most of them probably own some of the stations.
Radio stations.
Yes, so everything is tied in. Like, the way they do it, they own some of the radio stations, they own some of the
Streaming
streaming services, they own some of the recording studios. So
everything
you assigned to
plugged in.
Sony drags you to this particular studio, but yeah, they own it. You don't know they own it, but yeah, they own it. You direct it here, they own it. Directed here, they own it. You know, and they have these things where with a label, they know what they want. You sign to a label, okay, we want him to this market, New York, California, Midwest, here and here. They know which producers to use, which songwriters to use. So basically, it's formulaic, right? There's this guy, you have to watch videos of him, Camillionaire. Like, he's telling so much truth now. He was saying, yeah, I had a really good song. They see me roll. And, but I later found out my label paid for everything for me to have a number one song. They paid for everything. And that's what it is. The number one songs are paid for.
Wow.
That is what a label does.
Wow.
That's what a label does.
Let me quickly add to this. This gentleman who died last month or 2 months, he did a documentary on Vice where he actually had an investigative report of hackers who could hack streaming numbers.
The streaming farms.
The streaming farms.
What's
I don't know
if you've seen it. I've forgotten his name. He has this big scar.
It's Omar from The Wire.
From The Wire. Thank you.
I forgot his name.
He had this documentary. I don't know how he got access to it, but
They
it's
hack.
yes, it's called streaming farms.
We're in the digital world.
So they have like a bunch of phones, bunch of PCs. So the label will say, we want you to make this song
Number one.
So what they do is, I don't know, they type in something and every single gadget is streaming the song at the same time. So you go on Spotify as an end user
and you see
oh,
it
6 million listeners and it's pumped in there. And I was blown. I was like, this music thing.
The label will pay for that. They'll pay for that, but it will come out of your money.
It will come out of your money.
Same vein, some of these artists will tell you, I get an advance, and it's been 3 years, I haven't got any other check, because all the money is going to other things. Chris,
so
last time he was here.
If you think the advance that you've gotten is the beginning of many good things to come, and you're not wise with how you spend it, that's all the money you're getting.
That's all you're going to get. Because everything else, like, I remember Chris, last time we were here, Chris was talking about, but some of these artists look like they're set from the beginning. Yes, because every hotel you sleep in, everything that you need is taken care of. But mind you, they're billing you like 2 or 3 times the actual price. Every little thing that you go into the hotel room and you break, it's in there. So you go and audit, and then there's so many things that you probably don't even remember. My book, I remember there was one artist who was talking about, they booked a hotel for him because he wanted to record it with DMX. He was in a hotel for a week trying to catch DMX and take him to a studio. Now the studio has also been booked for a week, but he was only able to get him 1 day. So you might be thinking, okay, I got him this day, so that's it. No, the studio has been booked for a week because we didn't know when we'll get him. The hotel had been booked for a week.
All of it coming out of your account.
All of it coming out of your account.
So every money you get, you're paying all these debts.
If you want to be traveling with your entourage, your friends, they'll pay for it. But everything is coming out of your money.
But you have no idea that all this money...
Well, you should, but most of them pretend like they don't. But you should.
We assume it's the generosity of our record label, but it's never generous.
No.
There's nothing like generosity.
Every penny, every cent they spend.
There's nothing like generosity.
They are definitely getting
and that's something...
Definitely. So that's what, if a label should work here, when our boys don't go see top, they will not. No, because they will
not.
But
it started already, because I mean the record labels have evolved into, I mean, many of the majors now have distribution channels that will take your music to DSPs and whatnot. So I mean, even the non-major label distribution platforms are starting distribution models built on major label distribution.
Yeah.
Business modules. So I mean, you're going to see more and more of these problematic deals moving forward.
Kofi, it's interesting because not too long ago,
and they're not even interested in. Sorry, they're not interested in artists. They're only interested in songs.
Yeah.
Not artists.
So the artist doesn't matter.
No,
it's
the
getting
song
the
matters.
next big
If your song
Yes.
is big, so
You the artist, you don't. So they're not selling artists per se. They're selling songs. So
Wow.
if you remember, Black Sherry's thing had actual names.
Yes,
Yeah,
of
of
the
the
songs.
songs,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what they want. They don't want you to artist.
Wow.
Kofi and Xavier, I saw another report just this evening before I came. TikTok has actually introduced
Yeah,
a
sound
distribution. Yes.
Yeah.
So now what they're going to do is, if you're an artist and you use their platform, independent artists and you use their platform, they now have that leverage to distribute your music. Spotify is also looking to, I don't know if they've done it already, but the last article I read, Spotify has also introduced a distribution side to their streaming services. And
No, it's actually not. It's not distribution.
It's a promotion.
It's a
Promotion, sorry,
Like
promotion.
basically,
You pay.
you pay. No,
Yes.
it's not.
It's
You
a
don't pay
promotion
outright, but they'll split your revenue with you
from the
50-50.
streams.
Yes.
From the streams.
From the stream.
So like
Yeah.
everything is
They'll
now
basically
becoming...
like the thing is, these companies can do anything they want because it's all data.
Literally.
They can put you in all playlists and you blow up.
But they're getting more of the money.
So, but they will get more of the money.
And they'll give you what they want, but
Yeah, so
because it's not the work.
You sell
so-
half
They,
of your
they,
soul.
they will give
That's
they will
the
give
half
you
of
what
your
you
soul, yeah.
negotiated for.
Yeah.
You see, you become powerful at the table the more relevant you are at that point of
Yeah.
negotiating.
Yeah.
What,
You understand?
What makes it scary is then that means they might actually stifle other artists who can organically make
Make
it
their numbers.
because they can
Right.
control everything. Yeah, that's what. So there's a lot of people are really not
Oh, the streaming firms, they have
okay
to
with
watch
it.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
okay with it. They can actually stifle
So you don't
It's-
envy,
artists who
don't,
can
don't
organically
envy streaming
just
numbers.
the numbers.
Don't
Oh
envy
my.
it.
But
Yeah,
I
those
mean-
numbers, trust me, to me, the only way they could prove you have numbers, have your own show. Let's see who shows up.
And
That's
on
it.
that note, gentlemen,
That's it.
time flies when you're having fun. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
You've shed so much light, like my mind is blown out because some of the things I didn't even realize what's happening, or I don't think we've actually taken into account how much of the business side that the music industry is, and how well we should take this option and educate ourselves and do better for ourselves, our artists, and our industry. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being such incredible personalities to join me on this conversation. Of course, I was joined by Emmanuel Sapon, aka Olele Salvador, aka Nana Kwame Ahomfa the first, maybe the second, we never know. Host of 30 Minutes and, of course, host of City Countdown. And, of course, Seven Xavier, he is a president for Alliance for Change. And finally, Kofi Boache Ansah, he is a record producer, audio engineer, and creative director.